Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of our series where we go over the best solo queue tips for every map and mode. First and most importantly, thanks for all the support on my previous video. You guys seem to really enjoy that. So today we are going over the most recent map added in Ranked Play Season 2 rotation, and that is going to be Rio. As always, this video will cover certain strategies, common spots to look out for, off-spawn routes, and in general some minor things to look out for, especially when you are solo queuing. Now, I am aware that some of you guys are stuck in lower divisions, so we are going to start this video with some basic hardpoint tips. First of all, make sure that you are constantly viewing the kill feed and the minimap. The reason why I am referring to these two terms specifically is because we are doing a solo queue guide, therefore you don't have any communication with your team whatsoever. What I mean by this, the minimap gives you information about which spawns you have and whether you have to flip them, and the kill feed actually can tell you whether you need to play aggressively and flat the hill or when you need to play safe. For example, if all of your other team members are dead and you are the only one alive inside the hardpoint, the best thing to do is to play your life. No need to risk everything for a few points, even in kills. Just play your life until your teammates come back to you so that you can all push together. The best way to break any hill is using teamwork and trades. Secondly, make sure you always have a trophy system whenever you are solo queuing. Trophy systems makes it much more difficult for the enemy team to break any hill. Remember, this is ranked play, not an online tournament, therefore you can have as many trophies as you want per team, and it's always best to have your own and not to be dependent on your teammates. Thirdly, and most importantly, is to be the player that rotates early for hardpoint unless you are left to take the scrap time. Try to rotate 20 to 25 seconds early, especially for money kills. Let your team push ult. If they manage to get any points, that's good, but in general, the most important piece of advice when it comes to hardpoint is to rotate early. Get the new spawns so that you can set up much easier. Rotation kills are the ones that win hardpoint games. Having said all this, let's start with P1, which is located at the center of the map. Something to note here is the fact that the team who spawns back here near to P3 or the teams that defends first in search and destroy will always reach P1 first no matter what, and this is just how this map layout works. So even if you are using a lightweight boost, the defending team, which in this case is Militia, will always reach P1 or the center of the map 1 or 2 seconds faster. Now the reason why I'm mentioning this is because usually what happens is that the team that reaches P1 first, they set up quickly and it's much easier for them to use their lethals and tacticals to slow down your push because they know exactly where you are coming from. I have seen this in almost every single game on Rio, where the team that spawns down here on this side of the map usually gets stunned off spawn or naded pretty easily, and in some situations they even get all 4 dead, meaning that if the enemy team pushes, they flip the spawns for P2. So this is something you should be aware of, and of course something that you can do as well as a solo queue player, which is taking your SMG, controlling the center, capturing those early points, and wait for the right opportunity to push and flip the spawns by looking at the minimap and the kill feed. If you are on the opposite team, which is task force, here are 3 things you can try to counter this scenario. Number 1, you can push P1 from the bridge, which is more of a 50-50 type fight scenario, or you can hold this specific line of sight if you're an AR player by standing on top of this tire and cover your teammates. By doing this play, you're also keeping the P2 spawns for your team, and also this is a great spot for search and destroy if you want to play towards the B bomb side on offense. Something to note here whenever you are challenging somebody on the bridge is that you can wallbang the outside frame of any picture from any side. And if I try and place down a deployable cover, you can see that I am getting hit markers when shooting the frame, but not when I'm shooting the images or the bridge below, so it can be useful in certain situations. Number 2, if you are going to push from the mid stairs or escalator, make sure you wait for the enemy team to throw their tacticals and lethals and then push. And finally, number 3, as soon as you spawn in, there's a really insane nade spot by jumping on top of this wall. I personally use the letter M as a reference point in this case, which makes it so much easy, and if done correctly, the nade lands directly towards their side of P1, and you can use these to gain first blood or make your enemies really weak. Something to note here, you don't actually need to use the ordnance gloves. It can be done with quick grip, marksman, assault, which is great because usually these are the types of gloves that you should be using when playing hardpoint. Finally, some common spots to look out for when pushing P1 hardpoint over the B bomb side are going to be behind the yellow vending machine in this corner. A lot of people also like to contest the point by laying prone over here. You can also jump on top of this trash can, which gives you a god heady when watching this specific line of sight. I have also seen people laying down prone on this corner right here, which is another common spot. There's also a jump spot where you might find it useful in some scenarios, and in general, if you manage to discover any other jump spot at any map where your character seems to be levitating, remember that if you go prone, you can turn without falling. There are a few of those here on Rio, which I'm going to cover later in this video. And finally, for P1, if you're pushing from this side of the map, let's say at the second set of rotations, you can wallbang anyone who is sitting prone behind this bench. Now, let's move on to P2, which is this area of the map. Obviously, you want the enemy team to be spawning all the way back to garage. If you want to play inside the point, there are two good spots you can try. First one is laying prone behind the hot dog stand, which cannot be wallbanged. And the second one is actually at this corner right here, which means that enemies who are using the popular P4 glitch don't have a visual on you when you are capturing the hard point. Now, some of you might wondering why I didn't include the common spot on top of this wall. Well, although you can capture the hard point from here, if you move just a tiny bit to the left, there's an invisible barrier which will knock you down. In fact, I actually discovered this while recording this video, so I thought it would be a good idea to mention this, especially for those who are challenging the A bomb side in S&D from this specific spot. Also, one last thing for this part of the map, if you want to watch the flank, a good spot is to jump on top of this poster. And if you remember what we said earlier, if you go prone while facing the wall, you can turn without falling. So this is a spot that nobody will expect, and of course you can do this for both sides as well. You can also do the same for the second poster, which can be accessed while strafe jumping. Keep in mind, guys, that if you are playing for spawns of P2, make sure that you are constantly watching the minimap, because if there are no friendlies around on this area, then there's a good chance that enemies might be flanking you all the way from the back alley. Moving on to P3, which is this building right here, the most important tip that I can give you is to make sure you don't lose the spawns, because this is one of the maps that P3 and P4 have the same spawns. Couple of common spots to hold this hill or be aware of are laying down prone at the back spawns where you have a good line of sight towards the escalators and the P3 stairs. If you are going to push from the center of the map, make sure you check every possible spot that we went through earlier. People also like to do this stair glitch over here or sit behind this escalator, which they can use for cover. Also, when it comes to P3, we have two useful wall banks. One, you are coming from the bridge side, you can wall bang the showcase, and the second one is that you can wall bang this ATM. Moving on to P4, a couple of good spots to hold this hardpoint are going to be obviously the head glitch right here, and of course you can also jump on top of this bike. What I like to do is to stand behind the white van over here, because you can get info by looking straight through the window and kill your opponents pretty easily. So this is basically almost like a god spot when defending P4. And speaking of god spots, we have another one right here, and this is mostly used in search and destroy, and it's also really useful in hardpoint. Now, in order to do this correctly in any game, and keep in mind this does require some practice, first you need to jump on top of this orange sign, and then you can see that the AC is supported by these two L-type beams. Jump on either side on either of these beams. For this example, I use the right beam, and if done correctly, you will be able to have a clear line of sight towards the police car. Finally, if you are going to push from boxes, make sure you check the side of each door, because usually people are camping in one of these corners. When it comes to P5, I highly recommend you guys push from the bridge, because usually what happens, most people are stair glitching and it's very difficult to kill them. Couple of angles to keep an eye on when pushing from the bridge are these two corners right here, which are also very popular when it comes to S&D. Or if you want, you can provide a support using an AR by standing on top of the car tires, which are the same on both ends. Now, that's all for hardpoint. Let's move on to some search and destroy tips. And again, guys, keep in mind some of the spots that I showed earlier for hardpoint can be used for S&D as well. Starting from defense, remember you have an advantage because you can reach the center of the map faster. So if you don't spot somebody pushing towards the center, they're most probably going for A, and therefore you can flank them pretty easily. If you choose to play directly towards the A-bomb side, then a good spot to challenge anyone that pushes is jumping at the edge of this wall right here, and you can also use this for info as well. Finally, I also like to play inside garage at this corner right here, because again, you have a really good line of sight if someone pushes from the right. When it comes to in the offense, there's a bunch of things you can try as well. Firstly, if you want to push towards mid, these are the best two spots to use. One is the escalator head glitch, which is very similar to the terminal one, really good position to get into as well. And the second one is jumping on top over here and just watch the bridge. Again, from offense, there's a really good and popular nade spot, and this lands all the way back to garage, so this is a great way to make your opponents weak or gain first blood. Also, if you're pushing towards A and you want to challenge somebody on boxes, you can again jump on top of this car tire and just shoot him from here. Now, if the enemy team plants the bomb on A, 3 common spots to check are garage, boxes, they might be hiding behind the doors, or they might be hiding behind this truck on P2. For the B bomb side, there are so many angles to defend the bomb because it's located at the center of the map, but what I have seen from a couple of players is that they usually plant the bomb somewhere around here and they can check this from the bridge, so we have a really good clean line of sight towards the bomb. So that's all from me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, make sure you like and subscribe. Next episode will be on Skid Row. This is Shadowy, and as always, take care.